Hey, welcome back. It's been a while. The weather has not been cooperating at all, which is unusual. You might think this is normal or what's the big deal? So what, a little bit of rain. I know people that live places where it rains almost always, but here, this is a desert. If you lived in a desert and it rains as much as it's been raining here for like 3 months straight, that's very unusual weather. But we're going to talk about some other stuff that's unusual that's been happening lately. I got some Whoppers for you. Hey, you know that's what we do. We give you some Whoppers. And so 10,000 businesses closing. That sounds like a lot of hype, right? Like, oh, so many businesses not being able to do business is what they were saying is because of the bank failure. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about this, but I wanted to give you maybe a different angle that isn't being necessarily covered. Where's the plane? The plane. So the angle on this that stands out to me anyway is, well, to put it in perspective, as an example, I saw the headline that said, Elon Musk is saying that Twitter is going to be profitable in the second quarter. What did he say? It was stop losing money or be profitable. One of those things. And it's amazing because how many years was Twitter operational but unprofitable? And so it's just a perfect example of how, you know, the right people matters. I mean, who runs a company and how it's run does matter. It matters a lot. Yeah, so who's running it has everything to do with how it's being run. And Silicon Valley Bank and a few others, which, by the way, I don't know, I was talking to somebody and I don't remember the exact number, but it's like 500 banks a year fail anyway. That's like on a regular basis, like 500 banks a year are failing. So it's almost like sort of somebody out there wants to put out information as a sort of boy who cried wolf scenario. And so the ownership change in Twitter is exemplary of what was previously bad management. And you see it once it comes out in the news where like huge donations were being made to improper, inappropriate causes that have not related to the bottom line of the business. So it's like you're just running a business and then donating it to whatever you believe in, which is, you know, people are free to do that. But the point is that with bad management, you're just basically giving away your cash flow and you're giving away your profitability and your ability to sustain more challenging times, which, you know, those always come around. And so Silicon Valley Bank and Twitter, two excellent examples. And so the same thing could have happened to Silicon Valley Bank. It could have been properly run and probably been profitable. You know, but again, you know, hundreds of banks fail anyway every year. So I mean, the weak ones are going to fail and the strong ones are going to hang in there. And it's just like what to make of all these news, guys and gals, what to make of all these news. Should we get all worked up over the fact that certain banks are closing? But here's the fly in the ointment in the story. One of the banks, which was Silvergate, was a crypto onboarding and offboarding bank, which is to say people could sell their Bitcoin and stuff and get US dollar. Could be a coincidence. What do you think? If it was a coincidence, why is it in the news? Why is it so newsworthy that like these 2 or 3 banks closed when so many banks close every year? Is that suspicious? What do you think about that? So, you know, is this suspicious? Is it suspicious in which way? Maybe in more ways than one. Just the fact that a certain kind of bank, not only did it close, but it's being talked about as a headline news. Why? What is it that makes it so newsworthy? Or perhaps it's one of those little games that are played where you put things in the news in order to gain a certain effect, meaning scaring people. See? You shouldn't be doing that because you're going to lose your money, right? Well, that'll keep people from doing anything, won't it? And if you say, well, the economy's getting worse, maybe that's why these banks are failing, maybe more banks are failing. Well, what about this, guys? The headlines talk about jobless claims, but I know people that are looking for a job over in big city metro areas in the Pacific Northwest, and you know, they're being told that there's lots of jobs and lots of jobs and lots of jobs, but really it's anecdotal, but nobody calls you. Nobody calls you back. If there's so many jobs and there's a labor shortage, it just makes one wonder, you know, when you read these headlines, is there some kind of an agenda going on? You know, it's like, for what purpose are we trying to scare people, or is that even a thing, you know? What do you think? Well, not to be outdone, the next headline was that all these foreigners coming into USA for, you know, on a job visa, are going to have to leave within 60 days because they're losing their jobs. And well, if they don't find another one within 60 days, they're going to have to leave.
Because their visa? That's one of the rules?
Because of their visa, that's one of the rules. Yeah, they have to be employed. So,
right.
And so in a bad economy, boom, all these people have to leave because, well, hey, guess what? We don't need you. Maybe, just maybe, immigration, U.S. immigration, will just pick up the slack and actually put families back together now that have been waiting around for years to get, and I'm talking families, I'm not talking like distant cousin, I'm talking husbands and wives here. Very important to make that distinction. It does make a difference. Perhaps now that all these people are going to be leaving the USA, these husbands and wives that have been sitting around waiting for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe they can just say, okay, yeah, waive the interview, just go on back with your husband, back with your wife. We should have never done it. We should have never put workers in front of families. We talk about family values as a nation, but instead we put business first. Well, anyway, what do you think about stuff like that? I don't know. A lot of people don't talk about stuff like that. Kind of sensitive. And things are so upside down in so many different spheres. Like, for example, well, for one thing, MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor says, wow, Bitcoin was tanking. I'm not selling. I'm going to hawk everything I own just so I can keep my Bitcoin. Hey, guess what? It worked. Bitcoin quit going down. Well, of course, it could have something to do with the fact that Russia may actually, it's just a matter of time before Russia is going to legalize a Bitcoin. And my question is, why is it illegal? Legalize, what they mean is that they're going to make it legal to be used as legal tender. Because nations, a lot of times, they'll have laws against using something as legal tender, although it may not necessarily in and of itself be illegal. It's good for people to have the reassurance that it can be used as legal tender, and you're not going to get accused of doing something wrong if you do that. And of course, El Salvador is buying more Bitcoin at the same time that Michael Saylor was hawking all his belongings to the pawn shop to keep his Bitcoin. Just kidding. The word came out that El Salvador is buying more Bitcoin as it gets cheaper. So the smart money is always ahead of the pack, buying something valuable when it gets cheaper. I've been seeing secession discussions for years. People will tell you, oh, this comes up every so often. And these articles come around and they spin the issue in such a way that it makes it sound like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. You can't do that because, it's all, political. It's that side of the political sphere. Why they just get angry because blah, blah, blah. That, it's always just turning issues into some sort of thing that you can minimize because, oh, it's just those people over there. They're just getting angry. But didn't the colonists get angry at King George? Isn't that what started their secession? Was also not approved. The whole American Revolution, the whole reason why America exists as a country, as a nation in and of itself, is because they became angry at the king and they could no longer stand the way they were being treated. And so what is this, these articles coming out here with all this spin, minimizing the idea that people are unhappy and they no longer want to be under your thumb? That's a valid thing. It's a thing. Go look at 1787. Go read the Constitution. When a train of abuses, blah, 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 this is how it starts. What are we to make of the mainstream media this day and age? What's your thoughts on that? What do you think about that? The way subjects are spun to make it sound like, oh, it's just those people in the corner. Why, you can ignore them. They're just, what do you call those kind of people? Misfits.
Conspiracy theorists?
Yeah, they call them different names. Each generation has a different name for them. So how did you like them Whoppers today? All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed them, and
so there's a waiting line to get the gas here. Really busy. So why are we waiting in line? Well, usually we have the gas delivered, but sometimes he doesn't show up. If he doesn't show up and you're out of gas for cooking, well, you gotta come and do it yourself. Line's getting long. I think it's our turn. I think we're getting ours filled. It's only been about 10 minutes. Somebody brought a really, really big one. Here we are. Here we come. Here it comes with our gas. Here it comes. Yep, they're heavy when they get filled. Welcome to Mexico. The line started getting really long. I think that a lot of people didn't get, the gas guy didn't come. He didn't come today.
No. Thanks for coming to the channel and have a wonderful day.